I asked a seemingly simple question to a nine-figure email marketer. If you had to drive more revenue for your clients through email marketing without spending more on operations, what would be your go-to strategy? His answer was immediate: segmentation. Resegment past campaign non-openers, reword it, reposition it, and send it to non-openers and non-purchasers. I'm Rohan Sawant, I run Ionio, and we help e-commerce brands leverage AI to solve their biggest marketing challenges. And over the last few months, we have been really diving deep into the weeds of data engineering, ML, AI, EDA on customer data specifically for e-commerce brands. And in this video, we just want to go over everything we learned from our conversation with half a dozen agency owners, some brands, and email marketers, talking more about segmentation in the email marketing space, how they are approaching segmentation right now, what are some of the challenges with the manual segmentation, and what the future of the industry looks like as more AI tools make the process simpler. So, if that's something you're interested in, you'll like this video. If you are someone who's curious about using AI inside their company, please drop me a message. Everyone in the e-commerce space knows that segmentation works. The data consistently backs it up. Emails sent to segmented audiences have 30% higher open rates. They convert twice higher than unsegmented emails. And the revenue per email can be hundreds of times higher with strategic segmentation. But here's where it gets interesting. While segmentation clearly drives results, it becomes nearly impossible to execute this effectively as the product catalog grows. For high SKU stores, anything over 200, 500 SKUs, the in house marketing teams at most brands are typically responsible for seasonal campaigns, new product launches, limited time offers, loyalty nurturing, abandoned cart sequences, and just everything in middle. So, running proper segmentation campaigns, running everything in-house just becomes a challenge. It's just very, very difficult to run all of this internally. And when brands approach agencies, even agencies are left with one of two approaches. Many agencies simply refuse to work with brands whose catalog complexity exceeds their operational capacity. Others accept the business but bill significantly higher rates to cover their own costs. And this creates what we call cash flow segmenting problem in segmentation. You basically need segmentation to drive revenue, but you can't really scale it manually because the upfront cost without knowing if this will work or not would be tremendous. And most of these initiatives just stall or just fizzle out. But on the rare event, marketers do decide to go ahead with it. Here are all of the granular steps. Every single customer segment can take an experienced marketing team anywhere between 2 to 4 days to execute completely, from ideation to designs to email. You have step one. You have to analyze the brand's customer data, review past purchase history for customers, identify behaviors, map out customer journeys, determine high value segments, and then just create very specific targeting criteria and then put that into Klaviyo. It's like a lot of smaller steps to get from an idea to execution. And for e-commerce brands with potentially dozens of valuable segments hiding in their data, this quickly becomes weeks or even months before campaigns are even executed. And this segmentation challenge extends beyond just identifying the right customer groups. Typically, the approval flow looks something like this. We have junior editor, senior editor, brand manager, and the final brand owner who signs off. A minimum of two, sometimes three or four approvals are needed. And then doing this for every single segment creates severe bottlenecks. The research, design, product imagery for every single segment and every single campaign, it just becomes an operational headache to handle. Figuring out when to schedule these campaigns, performance tracking, A/B testing, all of that is just another whole can of worms. The fundamental problem isn't that segmentation doesn't work, it's that traditional methods weren't designed for the scale and complexity of modern e commerce. Traditional methods rely on just RFM analysis, which fails to capture all psychological drivers, and manual data analysis in Excel or some of these tools. There do exist CDPs out there, but then these are too abstracted away from the marketing teams to be of any meaningful use. So, given all of that, here was the conclusion. Here's what we observed. Most brands aren't doing any meaningful segmentation at all. The ones who are doing it are typically limiting themselves to the most surface level approaches because anything deeper just feels like overwhelming grunt work. Here is what most brands are doing. Most brands are doing abandoned cart sequences, engagement based on lists, seasonal or occasional segments, new versus returning customers, or just basic geographic segmenting. And these approaches barely scratch the surface of what's actually possible, yet they represent majority of most segmentation that is happening in the industry. So based on all our conversations, all our calls, research, all of the anecdotes, there is a small cohort of probably 5% of brands who are doing something which is a little bit more advanced than basic segmentation. An agency working with a premium athleisure brand shared this. We have basically created a dedicated segmentation sprint, 1 week per quarter, and the entire team solely focuses on analyzing customer data and identifying new segments based on the recent product launches in that quarter. It's resource intensive, but it's the only way we can actually segment our list properly. Another agency said something along the lines of how they just did a bit of guesswork to create hypothetical micro segments, send a small campaign to each of them, and then double down on the ones which actually worked. A third agency had resorted to a hybrid model where they hired data analysts to support their creative team. The analysts focused on digging through the data, EDA, while the marketing team and the creative team just focused on execution. It increased the overhead, but the ROI was justified for larger clients. And just taking a step back as an outsider in the space, all of this was completely ridiculous. I was like, we really thought brands were already doing this. It felt that it was obvious that all of the emails that we are seeing, all of the product recommendations on our site were personalized. Large retail companies, we thought all of them were already doing that, but they're not. They're not. Very few people are. And just from a 30,000 feet perspective, here is where we see the industry moving in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, 2 to 5 years. The future of e commerce segmentation will be driven by AI systems that can identify patterns that human analysts would never see, finding correlations between different purchases that reveal deeper psychological preferences, translating product affinities into customer insights, understanding what someone's preference for a specific product type reveals about their broader lifestyle and their values. Automated segmentation generate microsegments fully automatically, creating dozens or even hundreds of highly specific customer groupings that would have been impossible to identify manually. Scale personalization without scaling production costs, enabling brands to deliver truly personalized experiences without multiplying the creative workload. And we predict what we will slowly start to see are tools that don't just look at what customers bought, but also try to understand the why behind their purchases. Systems that can analyze purchase patterns across thousands of customers and hundreds of products to identify microsegments, which would be virtually impossible to identify through traditional segmentation. And if that sounds a little bit ambiguous, it's by design. If you are curious to know more, please drop me a message. I'm Rohan Sawant. That's it. Bye bye.